Welcome to the Truth Podcast. I'm your host, Hany Rambod, and I'm here with the runner up of the Arnold Classic, Logan Franklin. The men's physique division was put on notice just a couple weeks ago with the Arnold Classic. Logan, how you feeling, brother?
I feel great. Um, it's a phenomenal feeling coming from such a successful weekend after so many speed bumps. But yeah, I mean it's indescribable. It's like a gratifying feeling of accomplishment whenever you finally get that validation or confirmation of belief. So
Absolutely, man. I mean, look, you've been around. God, when did you turn pro? You turned pro quite a while ago, right?
yes, sir. So my journey first started in 2014. I did my very first show, won that show in the NPC, and then 4 weeks later went to NPC National Championships and won the overall in men's physique. So board shorts. Whenever I was 23 years old, a long time ago, I weighed 179 pounds at nationals, and yeah, here we are today. So
And I
it's
think
been
you
quite
ended up,
the
Logan, didn't you do one of my shows back in the day in Northern California? Did you do like the Sacramento, I think, in men's physique?
Was it it was the Governor's Cup
Governor's
Pro.
Cup. That's right.
Yes, sir. Yeah,
That's right.
that
And
was
that was in men's physique, right?
yes, sir. So that was my pro debut, and I got second place. It was a pretty close decision, I feel, but men's physique is kind of hard to judge the physique and all of its attributes and qualities that it can be displayed in. So
Sure.
yeah,
Yeah, I remember you looked amazing. Who
thank
who
you.
ended up edging you out for that show?
Gentleman by the name, well, his Instagram handle is Obey the Bolt.
Oh, that's right.
James Hurst.
James
I
Hurst.
remembered him by Obey the Bolt. His name is James Hurst, so
Yep. And
I'm
James
not
James
sure.
James was really good. He had the lightning bolts, right? He had the lightning bolt
Yeah.
tattoo. Yeah, he had the lightning bolt tattoo, and obey the bolt, and that's why he had that. But he was, yeah, he was definitely a force to be reckoned with. And I remember when I first saw you, I was like, wow, this Logan guy, man, is no joke. That's it. And then from there, I know you did a stint in the army, right?
Yes. Well, I served 5 years active duty right out
Okay.
of high school. So graduated high school. The very next month, I was shipped off to basic training. Did basic training. AIT was like 24 weeks total, and then went to the real army. December 2014, served 4th Infantry Division in Fort Carson, 2nd Brigade. Uh, was out there until I was out there until um, sometime 2011. I can't remember the day that I deployed, but we went to Afghanistan in 2011. I think it was like uh, maybe August of 2011, and then returned home basically May 26th of 2012 was whenever I came home from Afghanistan, and then did a couple more years in the army and wound up getting out and starting this journey this direction. So
Wow. Well,
a
first of
lot,
all,
a lot. It's a long origin story.
yeah. Well, first of all, thank you for your service. I mean, um, we wouldn't be free without guys like you willing to put your life out on the line. So thank you for that. That's, to be able to go do that. We're all appreciative of you, as well as all of our armed forces guys that go out there and protect our country and protect our freedom. So thank you for that. And I want to also say, you when you were in the army, were you already training and you were kind of into it, or did you just switch over into it right after the army?
So my time in service, my mindset and focus was never to be a bodybuilder. It was never I want to get out of the army and compete and step on stage, become this massive figure. It was just to be as lethal as I could. So training in the gym, I was in the gym 5, 6 days a week, but it wasn't necessarily, like I said, to build muscle in terms of stepping on stage. It was just to have uh, a more capable body, stronger, bigger, faster, stronger, that whole mindset. And to be lethal, all that's my mind. That was my mindset from 18 years old to 23. And I managed to develop the physique um, that I had at that time to be able to earn a pro card, pro status in the IFBB. And that was really where it began. I knew nothing about the IFBB and competing. I wasn't one of those guys that was involved in the shows as a kid. Their parents competed, and my dad worked out, and I had uncles that trained and all these things, and but I was never around it. I never had that vision of competing, so early on. I was kind of lost, and the military helped give me direction, and it helped me get on the right path in life. So um, yeah. So in the military, that really wasn't my mindset because, like I said, I wasn't around it. I didn't know anything about it or anyone involved in it, and uh, I went to the 2014 Mr. Olympia because I was there. I was going to do photo shoots with some photographers,
Hmm.
and I still had not even stepped on stage for the very first time. But at that Mr. Olympia, I saw the men's physique guys, and I was about, generally the same muscularity as them.
Hmm.
And I mean, I'm a very competitive individual, so
Sure.
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what it is, if it's bodybuilding or baseball, football, racing motocross, MMA. It doesn't matter if it's playing cards or whatever. I want to do everything I can to win, fairly, right? And yeah, so I saw those guys stepping on stage, and I just felt that I could be competitive with them, and it gave me a weird kind of motivation to try it. And a
That was the
month
first year.
later,
That was the first year I think Jeremy won, right? It was the year
it
you went
was.
there. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That was the very first year Jeremy won. So I watched Jeremy, Jason Poston, Sadiq Hadzovic, Steve Cook was up there.
Yeah. Steve
So
Cook.
all the OGs, the guys that really kicked it off, the pioneers of the men's physique division. I saw these guys, and yeah, I guess I got that spark, and it never looked back. I got more sucked in the more that I tried to do good. Because I guess you could say my starting out, I got in really quick because I mean 4 weeks into a pro status, winning an overall at the national championships is pretty cool. And honestly, at the time, I didn't even realize, I guess, how big of a deal it was to win the overall of that show. People were asking, "Do you realize what you did?" And I was just like, "No, I won. I guess, I got my pro card." And so yeah, that's how green I was.
And
But
when you did that, you were based in Texas because right now you're like what in Spring? You're like in Spring,
Spring,
Texas.
North Houston, yes, sir.
Yeah, North Houston. And is that where you grew up?
Yes, yes. So I'm a Texas man. Been here since I was born in Minnesota. My
Uh-huh.
family relocated to Texas before I even turned one,
Okay.
and I grew up here from that point until I joined the military, and then I had my travel with the army, and whenever I got out of the military, came back home. Here we are, 30 years in Texas.
That's awesome. Well, we love it here too. I mean, you've been here for 30, you've been here for 30, we've been here for 3 and we love it. So,
I
but
love to hear it, man.
yeah, brother. It's been a great ride. When you came in and you started competing, did you feel like you were ever going to leave the men's physique class or how did that end up going to classic? What ended up happening with you on that thought process?
So, classic physique started in, I think it was 2016. And whenever it came, I remember seeing the physiques at first, and I didn't really, I don't know, it didn't really make me want to just jump into the division the very first year.
Hmm.
However, I guess in men's physique, people said I had legs, so I could cross over. He's got legs, he should go. So, that got put into the back of my head at about 2016, 17 range whenever it first got introduced into the IFBB.
Hmm.
But it took until about mid to later 2017 for me to really see that that was my direction and that I was eventually going to cross that way, just because, every time I was in the gym and I would take pictures or send photos, updates to my coach at the time
Hmm.
or any coach that I've had since then. I mean, obviously now I'm in classic, but at that time especially, I
Hmm.
was doing poses. I was trying to hit poses, front double biceps, side chest, just to see how I looked.
Sure.
And I started seeing doing that. I started seeing similarities between, I hate to say it because it sounds like I'm tooting my own horn, but the greats, like Samir Banood. I started seeing qualities of, lines and similarities between lines and shapes of things, and how the body is starting to develop, and the proportions starting to fill out. So I just in that moment I said, you know what, I'm gonna chase this type of look, the completed look, the ultimate proportionate, every muscle developed but nothing overpowering, and try to have this old school flow. And I just really started trying to ice pick areas from that point on, to develop this proportion and this quality that I see in these pictures, these epic photos of these guys, Sean Ray's, Flex Wheeler's, Kevin LeVron, all these guys. Whenever they got their physiques to that perfect size of proportion before they got too big, but they were just like right, everything was completed. And I the more I studied those shapes and started applying the knowledge that I knew, and developing more knowledge and understanding of my physique, I just realized, wow, I really like to do this. And I got more and more passionate about it. And yeah, it just, like I said, it sucked me in further and further, and until the point where I said, I'm going to do this. And at that point, it was, I was so in that this is where I had to go. So
No, that's great, man, because it sounds like you had an eye for it from the get-go. I mean, obviously, you were a bodybuilder aficionado before you became men's physique, and then as you grew out of men's physique, you had those greats in mind. And I think when you sit down and you look at it, and you grew up in that era of the Kevin Levrons and all the different athletes that you mentioned, what they had is they had a really good balance of size, conditioning, fullness, no major weak body parts. Everything was just really flowed. And so, as you started putting on size, when was your first men's physique show? Classic physique, I should say.
my first classic physique
Yep.
show, I did the 2019 Tampa Pro.
Okay.
That was the very first show that I crossed over, and that's the very first weekend of August. My very last men's physique show was the Arnold Classic earlier that year. So I
Okay.
literally went from men's physique in March to a classic debut at the beginning of August. Took no time, didn't really have like any off season to grow and put on an incredible amount of size. Um, I weighed 203 pounds at the time that I transitioned. So I wasn't one of the guys that completely, starts to blur the lines from men's physique to classic before I'm like, okay, I'm competitive enough here. Now I can go over here. And no, I said, screw it. I'm gonna try this whole artistic look, and see how well I can do. And I'm gonna put it all on the line. I want to try to have the better physique rather than just the bigger physique. I always had this idea of bigger doesn't always mean better.
Hmm.
Especially if you're generally the same size. Maybe one person could be slightly bigger, but if you have a better physique, you chase a better physique and a quality physique, then that was my idea. So it didn't matter of the weight. So that's why I just went and instantly crossed over. I wanted to see what I was capable of, and I placed third at that show.
Yeah, that's really
And
good for your first time, brother. Like that's, to
thank
be
you.
able to go in the same season from men's physique. How much weight did you gain from the Arnold? And where did you place at the Arnold in men's physique that year in 19?
I placed third or fourth. I can't remember.
Okay, so you're in the top five, and
Yes,
then
sir.
you're like, even though you're in the top five, which is in the hunt, you're just like, hey, I want to just. Did you feel like I just want to go bigger, or I just feel like I'm complete? Let me show it.
I felt that I wasn't really placing where I wanted to play. I mean,
Hmm.
everyone always feels they don't place where they want to place when they're
Yep.
not placing high, right? But at that time, especially, I felt that I was getting beaten by physiques that didn't necessarily have the same look. Like if we were to strip everything down and start posing, I
Hmm.
felt that I would,
Hmm.
surpass these guys. But it was men's physique, so you only have a front and a back shot, so you're very very limited. And I wanted to eliminate that um, that you only have two poses and have a better opportunity to show my physique and have more chances to show that I can be victorious or I'm the winner over just, hey, I'm going to stand here with my front abs. Hey, I'm going to turn around and just show my back, right?
Right.
It didn't seem as fun. It felt like I wasn't progressing anymore in the ranks, and I started to kind of fade, and I was losing passion for men's physique very quickly because I started to feel dumb as well. I mean, I only weighed 203 pounds. I'm 6 foot. I get measured a hair under 6 foot, but I'm 6 foot, and so 203 pounds is not very big. Everyone called me stringy and skinny, and
Right.
and
Right.
so I, you
Yeah,
know,
it's
I
that's hard, Logan, because you're right. Some physiques, you don't see the full potential until they squeeze their chest, until they do a back double bicep, they hit a front double bicep, side chest, and then but they looked really, really good from the front and the back when you're not really posing. Even though those are two poses in men's physique, they're not really hitting the muscular. It's not, muscular in nature. So you're not able to really show the roundness, the depth of the physique, the depth of the muscles, the separation of the muscles. You just have your hand on your hip. And then, sometimes you're doing a little bit of movement through your arms. You squeeze a little bit of your chest. You
yeah,
twist slightly, and then you're blowing out. You're showing your abs, and then it's straight to the back, right?
yes,
Um,
sir.
and now you're thinking, wait a minute, I like to pose. I want to get into the mirror. I like what I see when I pose, but I don't get to show any of that because I'm in a division that doesn't allow you to hit any of those poses. So that must have been pretty frustrating.
Yeah, very limited. You're very limited. And, I was working extremely hard to have this balance within my physique because I was chasing the physiques that I saw. Like I said, Samir, Lee Labrada, Sean, these guys that they
Sure.
were not, they were not so big that you're going, oh, don't ever want to look like a refrigerator. But their bodies were so beautiful
Right.
and complete, and the quality was fantastic. Separations, striations in every single muscle, lines from insertion to connection, everything. It made you go, wow. And it was artistic. The bodies flowed, the posing, and that's what I was like, I gotta look like that. So I trained like that, and so I trained my legs hard, and I trained my full physique. But these guys in men's physique, they would not do so much on their lower bodies, and
Hmm.
board shorts down to their knees at the time, especially.
Hmm.
um and I'm filling my shorts out. A couple other guys like Jeremy, you coach Jeremy, his
Yeah.
shorts were filled out. So there's very few of us that actually trained the full physique. And then I started getting passed up by guys that were just developing so much muscularity up top, and I couldn't keep up with it because I was growing at a slower rate, chasing the quality over just sheer quantity
Hmm. Well, no,
of
that's
certain areas. Yes, sir.
you're right. So when you were doing that, where was your weight? Now you fast forward, You placed second at this year's Arnold. You looked absolutely fantastic. You and Patrick did an amazing job, and again, everybody knew for many years, even back when you competed at the Governor's Cup, that there was potential there. I'm
Thank
sure
you,
you went through your ups and downs, right? Like,
man.
did you have some dark times on that side? I mean, in terms of like wanting to give up.
It's it's been a very bumpy road, and it would have been totally understandable for anybody to just say, excuse my language,
Yeah.
fuck it,
Right.
But I've just got. I don't know if if I'm just fucking lost in the head, or if I was born with it or something, or I just can't quit. I can't give up, and whenever I truly believe in something, I can't let it go. And that's where I was at the whole time, chasing this dream. And I truly felt that I had this potential inside of me. I just haven't been able to nail it and showcase what I have to the fullest of my ability, because I can't land on the day. And it's taken me such a long time. I've never peaked, but you guys finally, the world finally got to see me peak at the Arnold, and it felt so good because of how many shows I've done, and I've been close. I've looked really great, but there's always something off. Whether there's some kind of factor that something didn't go right, and I stressed myself out. A lot of my career, and I put so much pressure on myself, and I I I live with PTSD, and that doesn't help. And I don't get the greatest sleep all the time, so that doesn't help. I've had issues with home life stuff that I have allowed to affect my mind. So there's been a lot of things that have made it difficult for me to really just lock it in and be at peace and not stress myself out, and just to allow myself to go with the flow and relax the body, relax your mind, and to nail it on the day.
Yeah.
um and I started getting to the point where I would miss my peak so many times that people stopped believing in me. And that doesn't necessarily, I don't need people to believe in me, because obviously I kept believing in myself. But then whenever you're going through it, you got to go, oh shit, people, these guys are coming in, but I was here, but now I'm fading. What do I got to do? How do I get better? Am I gonna mess my peak up again? Am I gonna land the plane? You have all these questions that go through your mind, like, what am I doing wrong? Is it my physique? Is it my timing? So all of these questions I had to answer, and over the years, I've just, I guess, figured it out one little thing at a time. And finally, well, there's so much more to the story. I've worked with a few different coaches, and then I worked on my own. I went about 2 years self coaching,
Hmm.
the last 2 years, and then last year, around a year ago, I contacted Patrick Tour,
Hmm.
and I explained to him everything that was going on, and he told me that he would be very excited to work with me, and I told him how excited I would be to work with him, even though I was so set on just, I'm just going to self prep because of things that have happened in my past, things that have happened trying to time it and peak, and there's a lot. But we got together, and I managed to, just we connected. He's a really calm guy. He's very intelligent, very meticulous on what he wants to have done. The plan's very basic, like just back to the basics, the
Right.
chicken, the rice, the oils,
Hmm.
nothing extravagant. No, if it fits your macros, you have this freedom to go do whatever. I've done all the diets, I've done everything. But just getting back to the basics of, hey, let me just write this down, and you just stick to this and just listen. Took out the stress from me having to guess of, okay, well, I get 100 grams of carbs this meal. What do I want to eat? Do I want to have rice, potatoes? Do I want to eat it with a bagel or whatever? And just I eliminated a lot of things. Patrick Tour, um, he, like I said, he got me back on track. He got my mind to just calm down. And uh, this year it was so different because my son is a little older now, and it's much easier to be able to balance the whole bodybuilding life and dad life, family life, and be able to give my efforts towards bodybuilding without taking so much energy away from my family, because that's what I refuse to do, is take more energy from that, even though I want this so bad.
Right.
It's
And
like,
he's
okay,
5, right? Your son's 5?
he turns 5 May 1st.
Nice.
Yes,
Nice.
sir.
Yeah.
And so that was another thing, trying to the last 5 years, trying to understand, okay, how can I go about not giving up on my dream and still being the best dad that I can be, being the best husband that I can, creating this atmosphere at home to where I can still chase my dream and it not destroy what I've got going on over here. And
Mhm.
that's what I refused to do. Um, so the last four, well, up until this point now, like I said, it's getting easier, but the first few years it was just very difficult, trying to balance all of that. We didn't have any help, no grandparents around, no family, no friends. We're just here. And my wife and I mean, thank God she's so amazing, and she understands this life. She competed as well. So she understands what I have to give
Mhm.
in order to um, have this product that is expected to do well or to be great or whatever. So I mean, if she wasn't so understanding and so great, then there's no way I would have been able to continue this. So a big part of it, a big piece of it is her, you know keeping us all just strong, and me being able to stay focused as much as I can while still trying to keep the home atmosphere right. Uh, so a lot of learning lessons, and a lot of opportunities for me to grow, not just as a competitor, but most importantly as a dad, as a husband, as a man, things that I have to actually take care of. And but like I said, still chasing that dream because it's so important. There's so many guys, there's so many parents, not just dads, but moms too. They have kids, and then what could have been will never be because they just fucking give up, and they don't they get caught up in how difficult it really is, having a good home life, and being a good dad or being a good mom. And it's just so important to me. It's so important to me to have that and to keep that, because I don't want to get to the end of this career, and no matter how well I do, have regrets of, wow, I should have done it differently with my family here,
Yeah.
because that's going to be forever. And that's going to be part of my legacy, is just to show that you can still chase a dream and you still have good family life, and you just got to hold on. You just got to ride out the storm, and
Yeah.
that's what I did. I kept going as much as I could. I did the best that I could. I kept hitting wall after wall. But um, every time I said, "This is not it," and I would give it another attempt. And here we are. It's just how I was raised. My dad raised me. I'm sure so many people out there have heard it. You get knocked down, you stand up. You stand up every time. You get knocked down 9 times, stand up 10. It's just one of those qualities that was beaten into me, and then the military and all the experiences in between, has led me to just having just that undying quality, and man, I'm just grateful that I never quit. I'm grateful that I never gave up and that I kept going. But still, I did it the way that I needed to, by taking care of my family, because my family, we're great, you know? At least that's how I feel. And then the bodybuilding stuff, my career is starting to finally pick up again. You know, I
Mhm.
didn't sacrifice one just to have a little bit of awesomeness over here. I have the love and the support of my family, and my son is he's involved too with things, and he gets excited, and I'm it's you know it's hard to explain, I guess, but
No, it's special, bro. You know, it's not that hard. I think people that are listening to this, a lot of them see my family, right? My son's now 11 and he's doing backstage interviews at the Olympia, right? When the guys, my guys that I was coaching was on stage, you know, he's emotionally attached to him, you know, and you know, running back with all the guys and taking photos afterwards and just, you know, watching everybody and it's just it's and you're having a partner who has done it makes such a huge difference. Not all partners have to do it, but they have to be a backbone because if you don't have a partner that's a backbone, you're never going to be able to be anywhere close to where you are now. Period. And
Facts.
especially in this, because as much as people think that you're the alone and you're the product of what's on that stage, it's not. It's
Yeah.
the village that you've built around you. It's the team that you've built around you that got you there. And I think it sounds to me like between your wife having the ability to give you such great positive, you know, reinforcement and that entrenched ability for you never to give up and then having the ability to have your family life but also have your career too, she's allowing you to do that because you have to be able to step away and not stress and make sure that she's got the house in order when she needs to do her job and you have to be able to do your job. That's why it's such a complementary thing when you have a great partner, and that goes for a guy that competes or a woman that competes the other way around. And I think all of those things are part of the chemistry that is starting to come together for you. And then being able to reduce your stress. Because again, people have stress in their life at different levels, but you also talking about your PTSD, right? Having to deal with that. Do you feel like you've got a bit better at that with this prep too, with just being able to control that a bit better?
Yeah, I've managed to, well, it's not just this prep, but over time, over the years, you know, just getting better and better and how to manage things and how to manage um if I get short with something or if something sets me off. Um but what would affect that more is whenever if I would allow something else to keep me on edge with, you know, my personal life, like family life, you know, things outside of my immediate family, not my family in my household, but family outside of this building, you know, outside of
Hmm.
my house. Um, yeah, a lot of issues there with things, but that would make it worse. You know, if you're on edge from something and you're ready to be set off, PTSD is not going to help. You know, and so you know, it just got to the point in 2025. I finally said, you know what, I'm done. I'm done with all these with these certain individuals that are sending me on emotional roller coasters and
Hmm.
love bombing me and yeah, you know, once I made that decision to, you know, let go of those people, I was able to just really stay calm, not have those the up and down emotional up and down roller coasters
Hmm.
that I'm constantly going through with these people.
Yeah.
I say these people, but it's really like one person, unfortunately. But uh it's hard to talk about. I'm saying this on a podcast. People are like, what's wrong with this guy? You know,
No, I think what it
there's some
really,
things there, you know.
yeah, I mean, there's stuff there,
Uh,
and believe me, you're not alone, man. Everybody goes through it. I mean, even social media, right? Even social media can create triggers because
mhm.
now all of a sudden somebody you may be competing against shows this amazing picture in the bathroom with a magic light, right? You know, with a roll up
Oh,
door, and they come around, and you're like, oh shit, this guy looks like he's 20 pounds bigger than me, and we're the same height. Or this guy looks like he's 20% harder than I am, and we're, you know, a couple weeks out, you know, whatever it is. And then it starts to trigger, and your mind kind of goes nuts. And a lot of people do that. whether you compete or not, social media creates anxiety, right?
Yes.
Because it's
Yes.
everybody's highlight reel. Did you cut that back? Was that something that you cut back or cut out, or how did you handle the social media aspect of the roller coaster?
So I hear what you're saying with the looking at other competitors, but somehow I managed to not really allow looking at other competitors to bother me because I understand what you just said. It's a
Hmm.
highlight reel. People they'll take 100 photos and pick the very best one, and then a lot of these guys will go and they'll sharpen things and they'll super HDR stuff, and I don't do that. I take it in whatever lighting and I post it. If it's a screenshot of video, I post it. But I pulled back from social media just because social media is just so freaking toxic.
Yeah.
And it's not like I said, looking at competitors that will make the anxiety go up. It's reading the comments of little trolls or people that don't understand what we're doing and that are just there to be haters, people that are just absolutely unhappy with themselves or whatever
Hmm.
they've got going on. And I think that is what bothers me the most. And I'm introverted as it is. So it's like, developing a following and then you're introverted and then now you have all these people you're exposing yourself to and then they have whatever they want to say and they say whatever. Like I've never gone onto someone's page and just like started straight talking shit. Like, I've never done that. I'm like, dude, so so my so my traits is like I want to just see these people and be like, dude, this person would never say this to my face. I would destroy this person. And so it was, it has happened multiple times too. Even other competitors have like
Right.
tried to create some kind of
Controversy, kind of
yeah
like
with
some,
me, and then
yeah.
they'll see me in person, and they'll just be like and look the other way. I don't understand what it is. I mean, just keep the same energy in person, but keep it offline. But
Did you ever have to
uh,
confront him, Logan? Did you ever get into like to the point where you had to like get
there's been multiple times. I don't know if we want to talk all the way back, but there's been situations over the last 11 years I've gotten into with some other competitors.
uh-huh.
Um, but yeah, it's really just the toxicity of social media. Like I said, that pulled me away. And I still post. I do what I need to for, endorsements that I have
Yeah.
to make the obligations. But outside of that, I prefer to just be off the grid. I
Yeah.
feel so much better. I feel so much better and yeah, it makes you go, damn, I can't imagine what it would have been like in the 90s or early 2000s or anything before that where guys like myself that are chasing this dream could just really focus and not have this constant app that allows fans to interact with you on a day-to-day basis. And I say that, but I don't want to make it sound like I don't want fans to be able to interact because it's such a great thing as well. Being
Hmm.
able to have social media and people to be able to follow you, it's amazing. And being able to reach incredible amounts of people and inspire those. But like I said, there's just that toxic side of it that makes you just want to say, you know what, I'm off of this app right now.
Yeah, there's
But
boundaries that have to be limited to in terms of like what people say and think because there's never been this kind of worldwide access like there is now
yeah,
because of social media. You're right. Back in the 80s, 90s, it was magazines. In the early 2000s, it was message boards. And now you have social media. So, it was definitely much more focused back then because you wouldn't even see the results or the pictures of the shows until 3 months after the show. And then you'd see Dorian Yates won and whoever else was going on, Lee Haney, any of those types of big name figures, you wouldn't be able to criticize them in open public. And then, especially, you wouldn't be able to see the comments. You don't have 11 judges anymore. You have 7 million, 10 million, 30
yeah.
million online that are all going into the different message boards. And someone takes one picture and says, this guy should have won, or you don't look good, or whatever happens. So it is a bit of a mind fuck, right? At the end of the day, you have to try to kind of filter that out, and it's tough. But it sounds to me like you've got your house in order right now. You came in, you peaked. It looked absolutely tremendous. I think, again, and you're always a
Thank
dark
you.
horse, but that you're now no longer the dark horse. Now all of a sudden, you're the guy that came in and said, "Hey, man, I'm going to push Mike." I think you did. I think Mike looked
Thank you.
great. I think, but again, he comes in with great structure. You came in with amazing conditioning. You had that three-dimensional pop. You had a great amount of separation, and it was funny because I was at breakfast with Sebum, and he saw some pictures and he showed me pictures of you. And this was before. This is before prejudging, and you had posted, and he goes, "Wow, he looks like it was in your kitchen or something." I don't know. It was one of
Okay.
your
An
updates.
Airbnb.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then he's like, "Hey, check it out." And I was like, "Wow, let's see if it shows up on stage like that." Because I've seen pictures of you in the past. And I go,
Yes.
again, let's see what that looks like on stage. And then it finally came to fruition, right? It
Finally.
finally. And like I said, Chris and I were
Finally.
just talking about it in the breakfast because we went to breakfast the first day of the Arnold. He texts me and he goes, "Hey, let's go to breakfast." And I was like, "Okay." And then when he pulled out the pictures and he was just like, he was going on social and he saw something and then he wanted me to look at it. And so I saw it and I was like, "This is great." And then I started to get really, because again, I was like, okay, can't wait to see him on stage. I saw the pictures that Chris showed me, and now it's getting like exciting because you got Mike, who was really kind of like the guy, right?
Yeah.
He was the guy, and then Wesley was a question mark, and then unfortunately, Wesley just. I heard he got sick. A couple of things. He was here on the podcast. About a month out from the show. We had him on the podcast, and he was tracking really well. But I heard that he did have some things go sideways when he got there, and I believe he got sick. But I do believe that he still needs to work on his legs and some other things. But then you just had to just basically nailed it. And then you got Mike, who has amazing shape, and now all of a sudden you're like, okay, you got this guy that's a crazy, crazy shape guy, which is Mike. He's got really round muscle bellies, but then you kind of have a hybrid, and then you have you, amazing conditioning, came in dead
Thank you.
on. And then I'm just like, okay, cool. Now it's a show, right? So now it's a show. So I was like, wow, this is really good. And then rounding out the top five guys, like Matt looked great. I saw Matt. Matt looked great. But it was one of those things where, I know Matt was expected to look great. Matt was expected to be up there. Obviously Mike was expected to be there after the Olympia, but it was you that was the unexpected one that
Yeah.
and that's why with everybody asking, "Hey man, let's get Logan on here. Let's see how he's feeling. Let's see what he's doing." So what are you doing next, man? What's the next for you?
What's next for me? Honestly, I'm not too sure right now. Um, I'm
Because you
just
still have to
focusing.
qualify, right? You still have to
Yes, sir.
qualify, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah, so I'm definitely going to be figuring out which show that is going to be. But right now, it's nothing within the next month or so. I need to take a step back and just go, okay, breather, family, boom, then I'm going to go in. And
Okay.
that's just what I got to do. And, I have to do it this way because I'm not a guy that can just give it all to the sport and just go show, show, and not have to
Sure.
worry about being here for anyone. So
Right. Because you
my
got Pittsburgh, possibly, right? You have New
yes,
York Pro. Those are two amazing shows.
great shows, but
Yes.
they I can't do them because my son's birthday May 1st,
Okay.
Pittsburgh's May 3rd, my wife's birthday is May 9th, New York is May something. It's like right after my
Y-
wife's birthday, so it's just I it's almost like I refuse to be in that position on their birthday,
Got
and I
you.
want to I want to I want to do something with them for them, and then I'll come back and
Do you
we're
think
gonna give
maybe
them.
like in June? Do you think? Do you think? I
Yeah,
mean, when you
it'll
talk to
probably be
Patrick,
a
what are you guys
later.
thinking?
We're thinking a later show, a
Okay,
later show.
but
Uh,
try to qualify again for this year's Olympia, though.
oh, no doubt, we're not gonna
Okay,
try. We're definitely gonna qualify, and we are definitely gonna be at the Olympia.
awesome,
Uh, it's just right now. I want to just go through a health, make sure that I'm healthy, which I am. I just got my blood work back. Everything was
beautiful.
great. Everything was great. So just kind of taper things back go back to the drawing board, see how I can improve in the short amount of time that I have,
Sure.
and come back and try to show the very best version of myself once again.
Yeah, well, again, you guys did a stellar, stellar job, and it sounds to me, combination of stress management, making sure that everything else is on point, balancing out the family and everything else.
Yes.
And did you change anything on your training? Was there anything on your training that you changed?
Training, I mean, my training is just constantly developing to where I'm discovering my body more and more as I go. I feel more areas of my physique the more that I train, and so just the change would just be the connection to my body more,
The mind muscle
a better,
connection.
yeah, a better connection with myself, uh, and just you know working more on my lagging areas at home. I have a home gym in my garage, so
Okay.
I do touch ups in my garage quite often. I'll work on like small muscles, detail work,
Hmm.
or if I have something that I really want to bring up, say something in my upper back or my lats, so I can hyper focus on that area and really get it to develop or break it down further after a workout or so. You understand?
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. And I
so
and I and I seen it because I see the GT3 in the background, you
oh
know. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, which I
I
I
just
have
watched it. I just watched it.
I just took mine out for the first time in a couple of months because I haven't been driving mine. I'm like, oh, is it going to start up? Is it going to start up?
Oh man,
But
you have a Porsche as well?
I have a, GT3 Touring. Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
man, you got a
yeah,
touring as well.
yeah.
Nice.
Touring manual. It's a manual touring with the race bucket seats. So,
Oh hell yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Do you have
It's
anything done to it yet, or
no, it's
stock?
it's it's stock, but it's just perfect for me. I don't,
Good.
I've
Yeah.
had a lot of Porsches in the past, but this is my favorite. I've had faster cars, Porsches that were really fast that I tracked, but this is something where for the street it's great because it's a manual too, and I love driving the
Yeah.
manual on the street because it
Oh
makes you feel
man.
like you're going faster than you are, and
Right?
it's got and I was able to spec it out where it's the oak green metallic with the gold wheels. So it's yeah, yeah. And
Ooh.
yours is I
Oh.
believe purple, right? Yours is
Yes.
purple.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, it's the name is Frozen Amethyst Titanium.
It's beautiful.
So
Yeah,
it goes purple to blue in different lighting and a little bit of pink shade. You have to see it. It's different between right in the middle of the daytime compared to sunset hour, or if there's overcast.
that's awesome.
The color's addicting.
Yeah, Chris has got one now too. Chris has got
Yes, he does.
yeah, he's got a winged car that's a manual as well. Is yours manual or is yours a
No, I got a PDK. I
PDK?
got a
So now
PDK.
now you don't have to worry about traffic. You
Yeah,
can
and
drive
there's a
it.
lot of traffic out here. I drove manuals for a very long time, and I actually was buying a manual in the GT3.
Huh?
Before this one, I
Huh?
was I was working a deal with a dealer, and I was trying to get him to come down a little bit.
Huh?
And I think it was like 4 days later of me just waiting to see what he would respond. He hits me back up. And he's like, "Hey, yeah, so a buddy of mine at the dealer that he works at put in a down payment on the car."
Oh,
And I thought he was pulling my leg. I thought he was just trying to, haggle me a little bit to try to get me to just pay that price. But it ended up being the case that he actually went and bought the car. And so I was like, dang, okay. So I looked for the next one that was in the same price range, and it was a PDK. And I said, you know what? I want this car so bad. I don't even care if it's a manual or PDK. It's gonna be sick, and I'm gonna love it. And I do. I love it. It's the best car ever. Porsche, you
I
did
love it.
great.
Yeah,
You did
you can
great.
beat the crap out of them in terms of
Oh
just
man.
worry about. I used to track mine all the time, and all the other cars. I had GTRs and this and that. I think you had a
Had a
GTR too.
GTR.
Yeah,
Yeah.
GTR. My GTR. I would overheat my GTR transmission at Laguna Seca after about 5 or 6 laps, especially if I'm
Oh
going
man.
super hard or if it was a little bit warmer day. And we didn't have the Texas weather. It was California warm day would be like 75, 80, well, about 80 degrees, 82 degrees, and then fifth, sixth, seventh lap, and then all of a sudden I get a transmission heat warning, and I got to go cool it off, and then I'm like, oh, I got to go get a transmission cooler, add it to it. But my GT4 I loved, and then I used to have a GT2 RS, and that car is super fast, but it was almost too fast for the street.
Oh man,
And but it
I
was
can't imagine that
yeah,
GT2.
yeah,
Woo,
yeah,
so
yeah.
sick,
Yeah,
so
but
sick.
they're great cars. Like you said, they're amazing cars. You're gonna have to drive it up to Dallas one of these days, man, and
Yeah.
bring it up. That's a long drive for you though. It's probably what,
It's
three
a
hours?
long drive.
Yeah, it might
I've
beat you
I've
up
been
too much.
tempted to drive it up there, but it's just
It's it's gonna
then
beat
I
you.
got to drive it back, you
Yeah,
know.
for sure. Your back is gonna be like, oh
Yeah.
man, that
I mean, I could
suspension.
totally do it. I could totally do it and love every second of it. But
Uh-huh.
then I just think of, dang, I gotta buy new tires soon now.
Yeah, that rock
The
chips.
tires go
You
and
gotta worry about rock
yeah.
chips from the
Rock
truck.
chips. Yeah, yeah, exactly. The road actually does tear up the little side skirt areas a lot with the
Yes,
rocks, you know.
yes.
But whatever, you know, I'm keeping the car forever, so I don't care.
Yeah, man, you got to enjoy it. A lot of people make
Yes,
them into
sir.
garage queens. That's why I took mine out the other
Oh
day.
no.
I'm like, I gotta take it out. I gotta take out more of my cars. I brought several of them from California with me, and I'm like, man, I got to take these out more often because I've been a car guy since I was a kid,
Oh
and
yeah.
I think,
No, they're so great. They're so great. So addicting to drive. Shifting. You actually shift. I just slap it in the gear, you know, it's fun enough
yeah,
for
I'm sure
me,
you
you
get
know.
on the paddles though. You probably get on the
Oh, I
paddles.
only drive it. I only drive it in the slap shift. So it's fantastic. I've done everything to it that you can do except for like boosting it.
Uh-huh.
But then you lose the soul of the car. You know, it's an NA car.
Yes.
You know, I've got done in headers exhaust.
Nice.
Let's see, I did a double X frame roll bar, roll cage, multiple tire upgrade changes. I've done two different tunes. I did an initial tune, and then now it's on a second tune, which is E85 tune. So I'm
Nice.
running E85, and yeah, it's great. It's fast, faster than it would be, but
But no, the nicest thing about that car is actually the fact that it screams, right? Because it goes to
yes.
9,000 RPM, so it just
Oh
wails. It's
man,
almost like riding a bike, if you're
it's
riding a
so
bike.
sick. It's so
Yeah,
sick.
yeah,
And you don't even have to go crazy fast. And I don't even go fast anymore. I just chill in the right gear, you know, at the right tune, the right RPM, and just enjoy it. You know,
that's
people wouldn't
awesome.
understand unless they drove a Porsche, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah. I mean, yeah, there's it's a very special car, but it's one of those things where it puts a big smile on your face. It's like if you're ever depressed, go for a drive, you know.
Exactly.
It's ultimate pre-workout on the way to the gym.
Exactly.
It's ultimate
Exactly.
pre-workout. Get your heart rate going. No, man. Well, Logan, I know you got to go train. I just wanted to say thank you. I know this was your first podcast too, and we talked
Yeah.
about that before that. So for the guys,
Yes.
again, I'm going to go ahead and put his link down below. If you're not following him, you get out from under your rock. Follow Logan.
Yes.
On to get his qualification for the Olympia, and I cannot wait to your next show, man. So hopefully we'll bring you back on as we're
Oh
getting
yeah.
ready and giving some people some updates. But I appreciate you sharing a little bit of the origin story as well as kind of what you guys did with being able to do stuff. And we'll get into some more detail on the next one. But I know you got to go train, and thank you so much for your time and coming on the Truth Podcast.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for having me. It was really great cutting the shit with you.
That's right.
Getting to know you a little bit more too, I guess. You know, just from chatting. Thanks for having me on, and hopefully everyone that watched it, I hope you guys enjoyed it and learned a little bit of something about me.
Yes.
And see you guys soon.
That's it. Hany Rambod, Logan Franklin, and that's the truth.